Welcome everyone to a fantastic game between myself as Nurgle going up against a Rubber Duck of War and Grand Cathay. So we are going to be playing on the new 1.1 update with a brand new map here with Arnhem. So we are going to have some nice buffs coming in from Nurgle and some good changes here for Grand Cathay. And then also the starting forces moving up from 7,200 to 9,000 gold. So it's going to be 9,000 now in the reserves as well, going down from 10,800. So instead of being a 40 to 60% split, it's now a 50 to 50%. So in the front, on the left-hand side, we are going to have the double Nurglings, backed up by the triple Forsaken of Nurgle for myself, and a unit of the Plague Toads. At the top, we are going to have 2 units of the Forsaken, backed up by 2 more units here of Nurglings, and then the Lord Choice, which is going to be the Herald of Nurgle with the Death Magic. So the boy's going to be on foot. Of course, as Grand Cathay, we do have some amazing flying forces that can really take down the big boy, but he is going to have Life Leeching and Arcane Conduit, as well here as the spells of the Purple Sun of Sexorus, Soul Blight, Spirit Leech, and then the Locus of Fecundity. So we've gone super wide here, really heavily armoured infantry with mass weapon strength, good mobility here with the Plague Toads, and just mass cheap infantry with Nurglings. So what was my game plan? My game plan was to dominate point 1 and point 2 here in the middle, and use this as a bit of protection here up against some of the artillery pieces. Point 2, I wasn't too bothered about. I was going to let Ducky take that and see what I could do up against him. Now this is exactly what I was afraid against. Now we saw double Great Longmar Riders, and then also the Dragon-Blooded Lord in the sky, and this is where I believe that on a rock fly my Lord Choice really does fall down. 110 armor, 75 charge bonus, brilliant melee stats. These bad boys do very, very well for 105 speed. For the Lord Choice, we are going to be having the Dragon-Blooded Lord, and he's going to be of the Yin magic, so he will be having the Jade Amulet, Arcane Conduit, and then the Will of the Dragon. For the spells, the Ancestral Warriors, Talents of the Night, and the Scales of the Celestial Court. In the sky, we're going to have the beautiful Sky Junk, the big bad boy indeed, who will be having 778 missile strength with a bucket loads of leadership. He's going to be relatively well armoured and over 10,000 HP. So the boy can do some good work, fire damage. I think it goes from 15 to 20 ammunition now, so lots and lots of good buffs. Peasant Long Spearman here in the back. Backed up by a Grand Cannon, and now the cheaper Whooshing Compass Astromancer. The bad boy can do pretty well indeed, so he is going to have the Rolling Skies, and then the Curse of the Midnight Wind, here with the Cloak of Pomi, so when we're out of combat we get 60% power recharge rate. And yeah, also another interesting one, the Nexus of Element Wind, something I haven't talked about too much, but gives an extra 20% power regen. So there's lots of power regen here going on throughout the forces. We do have Arcane Conduit here, for the Lord Choice, and of course 9,000 points in the beginning army. CA really did think that it would quite nicely buff, and myself included, it was going to quite nicely buff the Cathay forces. You go certainly wider here with maybe some more ranged troops. So we're going to be charging forward here. You can see it looks like I have my first force here down on the floor. They're going to be charging off the domination point 1, and I'm going to look to dominate the top. You can see there's quite a vast scaling here on the edge of this sort of cliff. Which is going to really prevent the Grand Cannons from doing good damage up into that top 4. So I can put, about 60% of my force down below here in Domination Point 1. I should hopefully be able to do quite well. So a bit of a skip on here. We're going to be charging forward with Ducky here and the forces of the Great Longmar Riders. We're going to be shooting onto the floor thanks to the Sky Junk. But we do have the Furies though. I do summon a unit of Furies. 2 Furies do dive forward. And I'm going to be trying to charge here straight after compromising the Grand Cannon. All I want to do is compromise it, force Ducky to have to make some sort of mobility changes here, maybe turn it round, just buy me some time so I don't have to take too much damage here on the battlefield. It's a really flat map here over on the left-hand side. Nurgle's taking quite a bit of damage up against the cheap Peasant Archers. Now these bad boys, they did receive a bit of a buff. They went from 450 gold down to 400 gold. So you can take a lot more here for a lot cheaper. So cannons, they're going to be firing here up against my Plague Toads. Pretty good choice. You can see the Great Longmars and the Lord Choice going to be in waiting. Flying, trying to cover the backside here is going to be the Longmar Riders. They're going to be charging back to try and see if they can compromise my Furies. You can see I've already turned around Ducky here and his cannon. That's buying me time already. Peasant Long Spearmen are going to be fighting quite nicely up against the Furies. They don't have much armor, so the Long Spearmen can do some pretty good damage. You can see the Furies, they're going to be holding quite nicely. 27 melee defense, thanks to their passive of the flies, and we're going to be having more Furies coming in. It's just causing Ducky to have to send 1, 2, 3, 4 units here to have to rotate to fight 1 unit of the Furies. Furies are going to be in chase. It looks like I'm going to be flying back here to compromise one of the Peasant Archers. Longmar Riders are going to be flying throughout, and in the middle, we do actually have some Nurglings. Now, they are actually armor sundered, but they're going to be fighting here in the front up against most of the troops, just holding back 2 units of the Jade Warriors and Peasant Long Spearmen. We do actually have Great Longmire Riders compromising my Plague Toads, but Tojutsu is going to be pretty hard here for the boys, but unfortunately they don't have much armor piercing, so although they'll do some good slaps there, unfortunately it's not going to be enough to take down the big mighty riders. Forsaken are on the domination point 4 seconds ago. I'm certainly going to be dominating point 1, and over here at the top, Ducky really hasn't contested me, so I'm going to be holding here, taking both, and I will be rotating down with some Forsaken. Domination point 2 is going to be open. Ducky is going to be charging over here with Jade Lancers. And as we can see here, I do get a beautiful slow with the Curse of the Slug. So that's going to be, I believe that splits up to 5 different enemies. You can see it's going to slow down quite a few here. And it's just going to make the rotation of the Great Longmire Riders so much less efficient. So, a nice good start here. We are going to be with the Plague Drones of Nurgle. These are going to be the Death Heads. These have gone from 1.6k down to 1.5. And not only that, they've gone from 6 up to 10 ammunition. So they're cheaper, more efficient, and they're scarier than ever. The boys, absolutely fantastic. I love their noises. They were certainly one of my favourite units here for Nurgle. And here we go. Death Heads are going to be in. They're going to do a bit of slight damage here up against the Great Longmires, but now they're going to be fighting. We did get the charge bonus there. More Tojutsu coming to the front line, and then also an extra upgraded unit of the Plague Bearers. They're going to be faster, 23 up to 27 speed, and now they're also going to be 50 gold cheaper. But the boys here, they're meant to be slow. They're a bit zombie-esque. You can see, look at these bellies. They're disgusting. But they're going to be getting forward here to the front line, and they're going to be holding pretty true. So the top here, I could have been a bit faster myself. I need to get the Herald and more of the Forsaken. You can see I'm now starting to come down a little bit. I needed to be a little bit more efficient on the come down, but you can see 470 points into the advantage. But we are going to be ripping apart my Forsaken. Now we do have Shield Breaker. I don't know if that actually comes here from the Sky Junk. I think it actually comes from the little snipers. The little snipers in the desk, if they shoot anything, I believe they give Shield Breaker, and that just you know, makes them a little bit easier to hit. So on the floor, we are going to get a summon. The Ancestral Warriors charge into the middle. That's going to be having 75% physical resistance, as well as anti-large armor piercing and magic damage. They can do really well here up against other demons. So in the sky, the Great Longmire Riders just going to be holding over domination point 1. Some of my Plague Bearers are charging forward. But in the sky, unfortunately, I do let these Plague Drones die a little bit. But we do have some in from behind. They're going to be throwing those Death Heads nice and forward. 125 armor piercing weapon strength per missile. That's going to be firing here on the Great Longmires. So Talons of the Night. I believe here is going to be a Purple Son of Zexorus. The Purple Son of Zexorus does get on top of the Peasant Long Spearmen. That's not going to be causing too much damage here. I was hoping to get it on top of the Ancestral Warriors. They didn't have much in the way of magic resistance, but now they're going to be fighting here. Look at the boys, the way they crackle, that thunder just coming off of the stormy Ancestral Warriors. Looks so goddamn gangster as they're going to be fighting in the middle here up against these tanky boys. 11,600 HP for the Plague Bearers, and these zombies, yeah, they fight pretty true. They're going to hold for quite a long duration of time. We're going to be holding here thanks to Nurgle. We do actually have some of the Forsaken. Locus of Fecundity activated here from the Herald of Death. And I believe here, yes, this is going to be a Soul Blight. Negative 30 armor, base weapon damage and armor piercing have been reduced in a 35-meter radius. And in the back, we can see here, Ducky's going to be certainly using the cheaper Peasant Archers. 3 coming forward, backed up by Peasant Long Spearmen, just to give a harmony of... to give a nice harmony buff. So it's going to be the yin here for the archers, the yang for the melee troops, and that's gone from 45 meters up to 60 meters. So you can be 60 meters apart, but still get that harmony buff. So it's going to be a nice, good increase here for the Grand Cathay units. In the middle, the Great Longmire Rider is going to be chasing off a few units here with the Forsaken. Shield Breaker activated here. A couple of the snipers in the top Sky Junk going to be doing quite nicely. Over here in the back, we are going to be breaking down the Great Longmires, and these Plague Drones, they certainly do very well here in this battle. You can see I love their animations as well. They're going to be doing some great work. Buckets of armor piercing. That is where we do suffer with the Great Longmires a little bit. They do have, of course, they have been poisoned, but 55 weapon strength with, limited armor piercing, which is not going to be too bad up against the Plague Drones, but, you can see them suffer because of this. On the floor, some of the Forsaken do return. We are actually going to get the Curse of the Midnight Wind activated here on both of the cultists. That's going to reduce their armor down to 11. And then also here, going to reduce that melee attack. We are in the middle. We are going to get one of the summons here of the Plague Bearers. They should be charging forward here on top of the Peasant Long Spearmen. And now we're going to push them over here onto the left-hand side as well. So we get the double summon on the point. And the cultists, they're a bit of a nuisance here for Grand Cathay. We will touch over it a little bit later. But they're certainly a nuisance here up against the backline range. So playing Bearers with the Summons going to be fighting here against the Jade Warriors. The shields are going to be braced, ready to fight. You can see I'm attacking on one flank, and quite a few units in the roster here are fighting. Peasant Long Spearmen charge forward here into combat. These boys are frothing as they get in and amongst the Plague Bearers of Nurgle. And they're going to be doing some good damage. Now we can see that it's going to be peak efficiency here with a bit of a harmony buff on top here for the Jade Warriors, as they're going to be close to the Sky Jungle. Here's a 25% amplifier. So shooting into the top here, we do actually have some Forsaken. 2 units of Nurglings on the top. Ducky here probably could have pushed on to Domination Point 3, but he does actually decide to put most of his resources into the middle. So we see 3 in the middle, backed up by the double Jade Warriors. They're going to be charging forward good armor. It's pretty difficult for Nurgle to deal with armor. They don't have too much armor piercing, unless they're going to be having all of those Forsaken. In the back, we do have some Pox Riders. They came up and round, and you know, they're going to be compromising and shattering the Grand Cannon in the back, which is exactly what I needed. The Sky Junk is going to be firing over the top, I believe now running out of ammunition. Domination Point 1 here was captured by Ducky, and you can see the points, 2,600 to me up against 1,200 for Ducky. And in the middle, Jade Lancers, they're just going to be roaming the battlefield trying to find a good target. Maybe try to see if they can pin it up against the Cultists, because the Cultist is going to be in the back here fighting with the Herald of Nurgle, getting a bit of healing thanks to Fecundity, but you know, he's going to be fighting pretty strong. We do manage to beat back the Astromancer thanks to the double Cultist. Actually see where the other cultists went. Maybe he's going to be fighting in the middle. But the most irritating thing about the cultists is they can single-handedly compromise the peasant archers. There's no real quick way to shut down the cultists. They're a bit of a nuisance. They have regen plus the law passive here from Nurgle with a bit of healing and fecundity. It's just so irritating. But Plague Toads are going to charge around the right-hand side and some around the left as well, coming for a bit of a compromising flank. Now we do actually have some Jade Warriors ready to go and some peasant long spearmen inbound. But yeah, I'm going to be compromising most of them regardless. Oh, look at the belly flops! I love the belly flops. Toadjutsu is certainly my favourite way of fighting. I love the tongues coming out as well. Oh, they're so goddamn fun. I love the Toadjutsu. The Plague Toads are so goddamn fun. But look at this. Fury's flying over the top as well. And then we are going to get the Curse of the Slug slowing down over 5 units here in the middle. And it's just going to be really pushing Ducky to the edge here. It's going to be preventing him from reinforcing the domination point. I come in here with 2 units of the Nurglings, and we are going to have some more Plague Toads, the Death Heads coming forward as well, and it's looking pretty bleak here for Ducky. I'm going to be running the middle, and at this moment I realise he's just got 1 unit of the Peasant Long Spearmen on the left. So I start charging over here with the Plague Drones. They have great weapon strength and 0 armor here for the Spearmen. So just going to be slapping some of those drones into the front and getting onto the point here with the Plague Toads. Now, I don't want to hit head on, because otherwise we've got to shoot over the top here with the Plague Drones. I want to be getting a good flank charge. Ducky looks like he actually does come towards me, but I wanted to make sure I got around the side so my micro let me down just a little bit here. But there we go. Oh my god, diving, mouth open. The Plague Toads, oh my god, I could watch these guys forever. They're so goddamn fun. The body slams, the tongues, the backflips, the kung fu kicks. Oh my god, they're so fun. But here we go. We are going to be shooting Death Heads on top, doing some good destruction up against the peasants as we charge forward with the pretty pacey Forsaken of Nurgle. 42 speed it's pretty speedy there for foot infantry coming from Nurgle. And what's quite nice here, I can actually rely a little bit more on the Plague Bearers of Nurgle. They've got a little bit more speed, 23 up to 27, so they can actually get to the domination points just a little bit quicker. The Jade Warriors are going to be fighting on the point, but in the back here, we can see compromising are going to be the Plague Toads. Charging forward is going to be the Cultist regenning as he does. We are going to be getting into the back. So we do have some Furies compromising the Jade Warrior crossbows, and the second unit is going to get compromised here by the Heroes. He's going to be in thumping quite nicely. He's going to force these into combat. And there's no way they're going to be able to take him down pretty quickly here. He's going to be compromising these, preventing Ducky from doing all of the good things with the ranged tools that he'd like to be doing. So at the moment, just going to be Spirit Leeching the Lord Choice. I did that quite a few times here with the Herald of Death. And nice cheap spells really proc the Law passive quite nicely there for Death. And that's a very good example there, yeah. So it means basically I get more power reserves the more times I cast. So the armor-placing Plague Drones fighting here up against the Toadjutsu, up against the Peasant Long Spearmen. They've been holding for quite some time, but then come the Forsaken of Nurgle. So now I'm going to be capturing quite quickly here on Domination Point 2. Ducky has a desperate attempt to get the Jade Warriors across. I do compromise them here with the Chaos 3, just preventing them from getting in and helping and adding any extra capture weight. All I need to do is capture Domination Point 2, and hopefully I'm looking on the straight to home. We have 3,700 tickets up against 3.4, but now I have the double capture. Ducky does try and come up to the top here. We do see that the Nurglings are going to hold forward the mighty Great Longmire Riders. The big boys here in the sky do get a gorgeous charge on the Nurglings, but they can't capture the flying units, so they're going to hold the point. We do see him behind Peasant Long Spearmen and a Grand Cannon coming up to the top to hopefully fire down into the troops on the floor, but even then, I'm going to be capturing Domination Point 3. There's going to be Plague Bearers, Nurglings, Cultists, and then also the Lord Choice here, fighting quite strongly, and the Harmony of Yang, which actually going to have an amplifier, is going to get nerfed. I believe the Skyjunk not going to be quite close enough. In the middle, the Dragon-Blooded Lord is going to be trying his best, but you can see Jade Warriors falling. These are actually going to be the triple bronze chevron there, with the Plague Drones doing quite nicely here, fighting up against Great Longbow Riders with a silver chevron. So they're going to be pretty strong here in the pocket. The Lord Choice gets in, but I think it could just be a little bit too late here. So 4,300 going up to 4.4. Come over here with the double Furies. I don't you get one Fury here to compromise the Peasant Long Spearmen. I believe the second one does come over towards the Grand Cannon. I'm just going to prevent a lot of the troops from just getting on the domination point, just holding these tickets as they turn over here into my favour. I believe going to be holding quite strong here. Domination point 2, 1 and 3 are going to be quite heavily, towards me. It's going to be quite hard. The Cultist, yet again, I think Ducky pulls that. You can see the Cultist just compromising one of the Jade Wire crossbows. Makes it quite difficult. This is one thing I really wanted to touch on, and thank you very much, Ducky, for the game. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We did that on live stream, actually, yesterday, I believe. But it was a really fun game, and one thing we noticed here for Grand Cathay that we saw quite a few times was, even though Grand Cathay is going wider, it doesn't necessarily mean you can go a wide range build, which is what a lot of people were hoping, where you get that nice harmony buff, because if you go wider, well, so do your opponents, and then you can go wider here, as you can see from my starting force. I just go wider with Nurglings, and I brought in some Plague Toads, Forsaken, that are really difficult to take down with poison, Pox Riders as well as the Herald of Death, who is pretty damn cheap. So I find it quite difficult. I think it allows maybe more Great Longmars to come in, bit of more Great Longmar play, maybe with some Skyjunks, or perhaps you come in here with Terracotta Sentinel, or maybe 2 with more infantry. Perhaps that is the way forward. But yeah, it's quite difficult to know, is this going to be good? Is this not going to be good? I'm not too sure. Does this really benefit Grand Cathay? I don't know. I believe myself and Ducky, after the conversation afterwards, are a little bit on the fence about what we think. We may think it's slightly worse. I'm not too sure. Only time can really tell. But you saw there pretty good values here across the board. 420, 900, 300, 300, 400 there for the Forsaken, 811 for the Plague Toads with 260, 400, 200, 155. 511 and 1.8k there for the Plague Drones. I really like the upgrade to the Plague Drones, making them a little bit cheaper, more Death Heads. Certainly makes them more viable for sure. 760, 850 for the Cultists. I think Cultists overall are a little bit powerful. Especially up against factions like Grand Cathay. They get forward single entities. If you can't deal with single entities, for example, Grand Cathay or Slanesh, where you might struggle a little bit, Cultists are extremely powerful. They get forward, they regen, they summon units, or if you've got a Core Knight Cultist, they're just extremely powerful in melee combat as well. And they summon Bloodletters, which just delete everything. So they're very powerful, and they're very hard to counter, that's for sure. But 300 there for the Plague Bearers of Nurgle, they're just big meat sacks, so I think the fact they cost 750 going down to 700, yeah, quite a nice one. 400 and 270 there for the Plague Toads, with 1.1 for the Furies, 550, 82, and 80. I believe those two there came right at the end. So for Ducky, we are going to have 1.9, 406 there for the Astromancer, 1.4 for the Skyjunks, 1.7, 1.5 for the Great Longmars. They've been good since the beginning. They're still going very strong. Grand Cannon coming in at 640, 225 there for the Peasant Long Spearmen, with 710 there for the Great Longmars, 911 for the Jade Lancers, 700, 340 there for the Jade Warrior Crossbows. Jade Warriors in at 88, 280, 670, 360, and 270. We've got the Archers, which are nice and cheap. I do believe 450 was a bit much, compared to Warhammer 2, where you saw the Peasant Archers with poison or fire damage. They would cost 450 and the regulars were 400. So I don't really know why these Peasant Archers, perhaps maybe just the harmony buffs, perhaps maybe it was the thought process. But, those being a little bit cheaper is quite nice. 550, 250, and 300, with the Peasant Spearmen coming in at 440, 180. I can't quite see what that is. I do apologise. That's going to be 280. And 490. So thank you very much everybody that's watched. If you did enjoy today, do feel free to leave a comment down below with all your thoughts and opinions. Do you think Grand Cathay is stronger, or do you think it is weaker here with the changes due to the new army setup in costs? If you did enjoy, do feel free to like and subscribe, and then check out the description down below where you can find all my other social media platforms, including that Twitch and Discord. If you do want to see your replays on the channel in the future, do feel free to go on the Discord and check out the replays for casting. Leave your replays there, and hopefully you'll see them nice and soon on the channel. So I've been your boy Logic. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very, very soon.